If you are interviewing for a project management role or a related role like project coordinator, project engineer, or project analyst, this video will teach you the top 5 most common role-related skills that companies will assess in your project management interviews. And I'll teach you how to respond to these questions in a way that will demonstrate all of the hard skills and intangibles that interviewers expect to hear from the ideal candidate. If you found this video, it's probably one of a dozen or more videos teaching you how to ace a project management interview. What makes this video different is that I'm actually a project management professional. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I actually do this job every day. I have a PMP. I've been an actual project manager for hardware and software projects, from budgeting and planning and marketing projects as well. I use these exact same tips that I'm going to share with you today to land my program management job at Google. And you can use these tips to land your dream project management job too. So I tried to fit all of this content into a single video, but it turns out that project management interview prep is a broad topic. So I had to split this into 2 different videos. This video is part 1, where I'll teach you the 5 core skills of project management interviews and how to demonstrate that you have these skills in your interviews. In part 2, I'll walk through some interview questions and answers so you can hear my answers that use the teachings from this video. Stay tuned to the end of the video to hear 3 pieces of advice that I give to project manager candidates that you won't hear anywhere else. This advice is what helped me stand out and ultimately land an amazing job at Google. And even today, I still see candidates getting bad advice on these topics all the time. You may be tempted to run straight to the end of the video, but these tips are just the cherries on the sundae, so make sure you watch the full video to understand the core content first. Welcome to the Pocketboard channel, where accomplished industry mentors share their hard-earned lessons learned, guidance, and mentoring tips to help you navigate your current professional goals. My name is Erika, and I'm a former Google hiring manager and an interview coach. Landing my dream job at Google almost 10 years ago changed the entire trajectory of my career, and I mentor people to help them land their dream jobs because I know how life-changing the right job can be. As an interviewer, I've been on the other side of the table at least 1,000 times. I've learned what works and what doesn't work when it comes to acing job interviews, in particular, project management job interviews. I myself have hired dozens of project managers and project coordinators and program managers using the exact same advice I'll give you today. I've mentored and interview prepped almost 100 people who've gone on to land their dream jobs at top-tier companies, including the super tough FAANG companies. Let's start by defining the 5 core skills for project managers. I assess these 5 skills every single time I interview someone for a project management role. First, leadership, communication, and influence. This is all about teaching me how well you structure your thoughts and how you use data to anchor your arguments and bring others along. Yes, I recognize this kind of sounds like a bundle of 3 skills, but look, every employer wants the best of the best, and so you are going to need to show that you have all 3 of these skills, and because these 3 skills interplay so much, I'm bundling them together as one skill. Second, execution. Can you systematically explain how you plan and manage projects and how you measure success along the way? Everyone expects a project manager that can execute. Third, risk management. Do you systematically identify, mitigate, and resolve risks and issues on your projects? A project manager that can't do this is not going to get a job. You need to show that you understand how to proactively identify, mitigate, and resolve risks when they turn into issues. Fourth, stakeholder management. Are you proactive about managing stakeholders by constantly making sure everyone is aligned and aware of the current state of the project and how it impacts them? Lastly, passion. What makes you love leading teams, planning and delivering projects, and creating value in this specific way? Any project manager is going to be able to demonstrate that they're capable of doing the job. You want to show that you are motivated and passionate about doing the job. If you are a project coordinator, a project analyst, a project engineer, much of this video will still apply to your role, but feel free to skip around if there are skill areas that you know don't fit into the scope of the roles that you're applying for. Okay, so let's dive into each of the 5 skill areas. The first skill area we're going to talk through today is leadership, communication, and influence. I already mentioned that this is technically a skill bundle, but I want you to think of them as one skill because the 3 of these skills are so fundamentally intertwined that any interview question that you're going to get asked about one of these areas will involve addressing the other 2 skills. So because they're usually assessed together by your interviewer, I'm going to teach you about them together. So when interviewers are assessing your leadership, communication, and influence skills, they want to know if you can communicate in a structured way, and they want to understand that you use data to anchor your arguments and use this data and your natural skills in communication and persuasion to bring others along with your plans. It's so critical that a project manager can use data and influence to move things along. There are 4 key points you need to cover if you want your interviewers to walk away feeling confident in your ability to lead, communicate, and influence effectively. The first key point to cover is that you use data to anchor your arguments. You're going to hear me use the word data like 50 times in this video, and if you want to turn it into a drinking game, awesome. You need to think about and communicate how you use data and information because at the end of the day, a project manager is effectively an information broker. So you need to show that you use data and information effectively. Second, you'll want to show that you communicate in different ways for different audiences. This is somewhat obvious, but let's talk about why. If you're talking to an executive, there's a different style of written and verbal communication that you're going to use versus when you're talking in details with one of the engineers on your project and troubleshooting a problem. You'll want to show that you understand that different audiences require both different styles of communication and also different levels of detail. Third, you're going to show that you tailor the format and frequency of your communications. We talked a bit about format in the last point, but here I want you to think about format in terms of not just written versus verbal communication, but also meetings. Do you want to have daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? And this should all depend on your project and the different people that you're working with. This will include their working styles, their preferences, and the culture that you're working in. Fourth, you want to show that you proactively identify ways to improve communication and alignment. No one wants to hire just a project manager that sets up governance for their project at the beginning and then never revisits it or evolves it to match the needs of the project and the team and the client, customer, stakeholders. So you want to show that you are a living, learning growth machine and that due to this growth mentality that you have, you're always looking for ways to proactively identify improvement areas and ways to keep the team even more aligned than they are today. In my many years of interviewing project manager candidates, I found there are 2 intangibles that great candidates consistently demonstrate in their interviews. The first is they give me a hint at their leadership style and their leadership skills. And the second is that they show me that they can influence effectively without authority. All right, our second major project management skill area is execution. Most people are surprised that this comes second on my list, and I want you to know that I did that intentionally. This is to signal that yes, while execution is important for a project manager to do well, execution with poor communication and leadership can be disastrous for you and everyone else on the team. The best project managers are those who get things done on time, on budget, and with the specified scope and quality, yes, but also who bring everyone along with them and communicate effectively throughout the project. So execution is important, but it is not enough. When interviewers are assessing your execution skills, they want to see that you can systematically explain how you plan and manage projects and how you measure success throughout the project lifecycle, not just at the beginning and the end. There are 5 key points you want to cover if you want your interviewers to walk away feeling confident in your ability to execute on projects effectively. First, you need to communicate that you set project level goals. This goes right along with being data-driven and able to influence others through data. Again, I told you I'm going to say the word data a lot. Without a shared understanding of the goals of the project, how can you possibly be successful? Second, you need to demonstrate how you ensure proper resourcing on your projects. Part of your job as a project manager is to deliver the outcome, yes, but also to do it in a way that's efficient with resources and sustainable for the people who work on your projects. Burning people out is a big negative in my book, so show me how you ensure that your projects always have the right resources. Third, you need to show that you regularly track progress towards major milestones and goals, and that you identify when goals are at risk. Third, you need to show that you regularly track progress towards major milestones and goals, and that you identify when goals are at risk. Fourth, you need to show that you solve blockers that would cause your project to miss its goals. No project is without its unforeseen issues, and great project managers identify and resolve these issues like the true superheroes that you are, and you need to show me that in your interview. Fifth, you need to show that you deliver projects on time, within budget, and meeting the scope and quality requirements. Take note, again, that I put this last. These days, all employers are expecting project managers that can deliver the projects under the conditions stated. But don't hang your hat on this, because every other candidate who is coming for that interview is going to say the exact same thing. So the ability to do things on time and on budget is table stakes. You need to acknowledge that and celebrate that you're able to do this, because it's really hard. But in your interviews, you need to highlight the 4 other key points if you want to stand out from other candidates. In my many years of interviewing project manager candidates, I found there are 4 intangibles that great candidates will consistently demonstrate in their interviews. The first is leadership. I mentioned this in the last one as well. The second is data orientation. The third is proactivity, which is also part of the last skill. And the fourth is resilience and the ability to turn failure into a success. The third major skill area is risk management, which every executive will tell you is the most critical value that a project manager brings to the table. Yes, that's right. It's not your ability to deliver that's most critical for the company. It's your ability to understand, track, and communicate risks that may have impacts far beyond your project, so that leaders at your company can effectively run the business. Being good at risk management is the difference between being good at execution and being great at partnering with your business. Interviewers want to know that you can systematically identify and mitigate risks, and that if those risks turn into issues, you are able to broker timely, resource-efficient solutions that keep the project on track for its goals. There are 5 key points you need to cover if you want your interviewers to walk away feeling confident in your ability to risk manage effectively. First, you need to explain how you track risks proactively. Proactivity is the key word here. Tell me how you systematically identify areas of risks and how you keep tabs on them throughout the project so that you know if that risk is becoming a real issue or not. Second, tell me how you create risk mitigation plans to avoid bumpy and chaotic project execution. Third, demonstrate that you effectively escalate when an issue occurs. No one wants to hire a project manager who hides issues and tries to resolve them alone without escalating to get additional ideas and resources. We also don't want to hire someone who escalates tiny little things that can be resolved more quickly and simply without involving the broader team. You need to show that you are smart and effective with escalations, and that you generally use good judgment and do the right thing in each scenario. Fourth, show me how you problem solve to resolve issues when risks turn into real-world problems on your project. No leader wants to hire a project manager who can only communicate problems but can't seem to resolve any of them. Problem solving is part of the job, so show me how you do it. In my many years of interviewing project manager candidates, I found there are 4 intangibles that great candidates consistently demonstrate in their interviews on top of these key points. The first, they show good judgment. Second, they have domain expertise. They understand that certain risks happen more often in certain domains or industries or fields or scenarios. Third, their leadership style tends to be very calm under pressure. Fourth, they have tight communication approaches. They know who to communicate at the right time to de-escalate the issue and solve the problem. The fourth key skill for project management interviews is stakeholder management. In case you aren't familiar with what this term means, stakeholder management is the process of knowing who is impacted by the project you're working on and keeping them engaged and abreast of how they are impacted by the project. When interviewers are assessing your stakeholder management skills, they want to know that you are proactive about managing stakeholders and that you're constantly ensuring that all stakeholders are aligned and aware of the current state of the project. There are 3 key points you need to cover if you want your interviewers to walk away feeling confident in your ability to manage your stakeholders effectively. First, tell me how you identify all of your stakeholders and how you come to know what they want and need from the project. Project managers need to deeply understand their stakeholders' needs so that they can lead the team to deliver on those needs. Second, you need to show me that you communicate effectively. This includes forums, frequency, and content with each of your stakeholders. And just as a hint, each stakeholder requires different forms, different frequencies, and different content. Third, you need to show that you understand the concept of key stakeholders and always ensure that key stakeholders' needs are met. Key stakeholders are often your client, your customer, or your user. They are the whole reason that the project exists. They are your customers, and you need to show that you understand them and deliver on their needs. In my many years of interviewing project manager candidates, I've found that there are 3 intangibles that great candidates consistently demonstrate in their interviews. First, they show that they can influence without authority. Second, they show that they have the ability to manage up. And third, they show their work values and professionalism in the way that they answer questions about stakeholder management. All right, 4 skills down, 1 to go. And our last skill isn't so much a skill as it is a quality about yourself, your passion for your role and for leading projects. We all want to work alongside exceptionally bright, capable people who love what they do. So passion is something I look for in every person I interview. Project managers have a very tough role, making things happen, keeping everyone aligned, and sharing in on very little of the glory and upside when things do go well. So let's be honest, it's not the most glamorous job, so it has to be something that you love for other reasons. In your interviews, you want to convey what those reasons are that make you love being a project manager. When interviewers are assessing your passion for project management, they want to know that you're passionate about aligning and leading teams towards a common goal and driving projects forward to fulfill these goals. When it comes to passion, I can't give you a framework or formula for describing why you love being a project manager. The interviewer is going to read between the lines anyway, and everyone can tell if someone really loves their job anyway. So my advice to you is to know what are the 3 aspects of your role as a project manager, project coordinator, project engineer, or project analyst that bring you the most joy, excitement, and energy, or even a state of flow. Is it the way you feel when everyone knows exactly what to do and how to do it? Is it the problem solving when things inevitably don't go perfectly to plan? Is it the organization and management of details and the crafting of expert communications? Know the 3 things you love most about your job. Okay, at the beginning of this video, I promised you 2 things. First, that you'd learn the top 5 most common role-related skills that companies will assess for project management interviews, and how to respond to interview questions in a way that will demonstrate the qualities of an ideal candidate. And second, I promise to tell you some counterculture advice that will help you land top project management jobs. So here goes. Tip number 1, impact over timeliness. It's not enough that your projects are on time, under budget, and in scope. We've already discussed this. Share with me what it was like to be on your team. Show me how you're a leader. I often coach people to share that their projects were on time, but only spend a few seconds on that. Instead, talk about what the world gained from your project. Impact over timelines. You don't need a PMP. Project management is not an academic sport. It's a real-world activity taken out of necessity to create things and launch them in the world. Given that, I prefer to hire people with street smarts, experience, and academic learning in that order. So if you don't have a PMP yet, the best use of your time isn't to read the PMBOK and pass a test. I know this is blasphemy, but trust me. I've hired dozens of people just like you into top-tier employers like Google. Instead, take those 6 weeks and volunteer somewhere, take on a project and deliver it. Then share that experience with your interviewers. Real-world experience will always beat out academic experience when it comes to landing a project management job. Tip number 3, project success is more than just dollars and minutes. I often get people who throw out the size of their project in terms of dollars. For example, I led a $25 million project to do X, Y, or Z. Guess what? The only thing I'm listening to is X, Y, and Z. When you go through your STAR method and answer project manager interview questions, be sure to quantify the complexity of your projects with more than just the money your company spent or earned on the project. Talk about metrics that really matter. The size of the team, the number of users, the number of complex hardware parts, the user growth that happened as a result of your project. These are much more helpful than dollars and minutes in terms of understanding the scope of projects that you can handle. All right, that's a wrap on this super high-level video with interview tips and project manager interview questions and answers. As a project manager myself, I know there are many types of project managers, from Scrum Masters to Agile project managers, IT project managers, construction project managers, and of course, the whole world of program management. Drop a comment if there's a special topic you'd like me to cover, and I will be so excited to work on your requests. And you know why? Because you are my key stakeholders. I'll say it again, I'd love to see some comments below with how you would answer these questions and demonstrate the same key points and intangibles that we discussed. There's nothing better than practice to get this learning cemented in your head. So feel free to write it all out in paragraph form or put some bullets in, or you can even ask me some questions that I didn't cover in the video. I will personally review the first 20 questions posted in the comments below and provide thoughts and feedback to help you ace your project manager interview. If you want me or other Pocketboard mentors to create more helpful videos, subscribe to this channel. To get new mentoring tips faster, make sure you ring the bell and you'll get notified every time we publish new videos. Please drop a comment in this video and tell us what mentoring tips or skills you want us to cover in our next video. I'm Erika G, and you can find me on Pocketboard if you'd like one-on-one mentorship and coaching.